without further ado, I will just be helping facilitate getting people in and chat questions. But our main person of the hour is Danielle O'Leary, who is our Associate Athletic Director and Senior Women Administrator, an all-around person who knows a whole bunch of stuff about what's happening with Pacer Athletics. And Danielle is here today to share some information and then answer some questions for the next 30 to 45 minutes ish, is what we kind of have scheduled. So, again, thank y'all for being here. We're excited to meet y'all. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Danielle.
All right. Thanks, Dawn. And thanks everyone for joining us. I know it's really hot in North Carolina if you're in North Carolina, or if you're really on the Eastern Seaboard, it's quite hot right now. So I hope everyone is in a cool place. If you're not, I saw some people on an iPhone in the car. Take care of yourself. Obviously, if you have to step off for something, don't be afraid to reach out afterwards if you have questions. Obviously, you can go through Dawn in the Office of Admissions, but if you have specific questions, I'd say about a sport specifically, we saw some early questions about maybe some women's golf or tennis. I suggest reaching out specifically to the coach, since this is kind of a more of a general overview. If your coach is not listed, so example, tennis right now, feel free to reach out to myself or Claude. For our students on the phone, on the call, you can do that through WPU Connect, either one of us. You can set up a meeting if you want more information, or you can go right through gopeacepacers.com and contact any one of the coaches through their email address, or their office phone number is there. So again, if you have specific questions about a sport and when practices start, I suggest going right through the coach. I would hope that they give you that information through the recruiting process, but I understand information slips through the cracks. We are about a week away from a big information dump from athletics. On July 1st, you're going to receive an email from our new head athletic trainer, Erin Goreen, and it's going to go directly to your Peace student email account. So if you have not set that up, this is the time to do that. If you're having trouble with that, this is the time to shoot a message over to IT and make sure that your Peace student email account is working so you don't miss any information. If you're a fall student athlete, having your paperwork done by August 15th is going to be really key in order for you to practice. If you don't have paperwork done, we cannot let you practice. So if you come into my office on August 10th and say, oh, I didn't get the paperwork because I was, having problems with my Peace email account, we're probably going to say, that doesn't cut it. You were given a lot of warnings. This is, our big thing is fail forward fast. So this is a learning opportunity for you. You need to get your paperwork in as soon as possible. So July 1st, Erin's going to send out an email with all of your health paperwork. The big key one is a physical that's taken place after February 20th. And then the next big one that we're going to look for is a sickle cell test. And for most people on the call, you can probably get that information from the hospital you were born at. If that's really difficult, you can go to a clinic and get a sickle cell test. So those are the two big things. The other things that are going to come out are about like your health history, concussion tests. If you've played high school or club sports, you've probably gone through a lot of this. So it's the same information. Another piece of our health paperwork is that it's going to be uploaded all into we call it SWOL. And it's just our tracking system that our athletic trainers use. So please do not scan physicals in. Don't bring a physical copy of your physical in. Everything will need to be uploaded to SWOL. And you'll get you'll get all the instructions for that from Erin on July 1st. If you're a go-getter and you already have this information, or you have a doctor's appointment within the next 2 weeks, all of the paperwork that you're looking for is actually on gopeacepacers.com underneath the athletic training tab. And then there's a section for new students, and all of the paperwork is under there. So if you want to get a head start, because Erin's also going to set up everyone's SWOL account on July 1st. So if you want to get a head start with making sure you have your paperwork in order, everything you need is going to be on gopeacepacers.com. The other thing is for our fall athletes, especially in beginning of August, you're going to receive an email from me again to your Peace email account with your compliance paperwork. We have a really tight deadline for that this year, and I realize with move in and everything else, it's a quick turnaround, but you have about a week to get compliance paperwork done. And a big piece of that this year is everyone needs to have an NCAA ID. So for our parents on the call, I would suggest writing that down if you have one already and making sure it's on hand, because we'll need the NCAA ID to sign off on a few pieces of paperwork. And oftentimes we have students email in and say, I know I created one, I just don't know where it is. I can easily look it up, but we have close to 250 student athletes every year, and that's a lot to manage if I have 250 IDs to look up. So I'd say if you were recruited at all by Division twos or some high level Division threes, you probably created an NCAA ID already and you have that somewhere. Yeah, any physician can do the physical. It can go through urgent care too. So yeah, just making sure you have an NCAA ID. If you don't, I would say hold off on creating one right now. I got you, Denise. You beat me to it in the chat. You could do it through the NCAA, but wait a second till you get the instructions, because there's a ID that you pay for and there's an ID that's free. And if you don't have to pay the $35, we don't want you to pay the $35. So just wait for the instructions. And it's fairly easy, but we've had a lot of people click on the wrong account. And then they never get their ID, even though they're like, hey, I got the email. They got the wrong ID. It's not actually registered because they haven't submitted payment. So just follow the instructions. And that email from me about compliance will come out August 1st. And that's pretty much it. I know we have an athletics session that's going to take place on Friday of orientation. For our parents that are going to be around, that's a really great opportunity to hear from myself and our athletic director, Claude, about kind of what our expectations are for our student athletes, and for parents, especially when you're coming to contests, or if you drive down the road to a Meredith volleyball game, kind of what our conference expectations are for fan behavior and parent behavior. So that'd be a really great session to attend, but it also is nice to meet our parents so that when we do see you walk into the gym or walk out to the field for a game, we know who you are and who you're here to support. So I think there was one other question that was submitted. Let me see. There's a 3-parter. Let me see if I can get these. Do all athletes live in the same dorm? I'd say for the most part, they all kind of congregate. There's 2 freshman dorms that they live in. And they'll all, they're usually grouped with another athlete as a roommate or suite mates. I think our Res Life does a really good job of recognizing the importance of community there and keeping everybody together. So if you're not in one dorm with your entire team, there's only a small handful of them in the dorm that's 2 steps away. Which is really good for the follow-up question that was submitted about modes of transportation, especially to our off-campus facilities. We don't provide anything right now. It's, in fairness and equity for everybody, that wouldn't be very fair if we provided, transportation for one team, but not the other team. And then liability and cost of everything kind of skyrockets. So, but what we suggest is rotate who drives, especially if, all freshmen are allowed to have a car on campus. There's plenty of parking. So rotate who drives, everyone chips in for gas, that kind of thing. But right now we do not provide transportation to our off-campus practice facilities. And then the last question that was submitted early was extra tutoring or study halls for athletes. Depends on the team. Some teams have I'm going to answer that question in a second in the chat. Some teams have required study hall. Other teams say you're supposed to do individual study hall. As a department, we kind of leave that up to the coaches and their discretion, especially based on what the team GPA is. If they're pretty successful, we're usually like, you probably don't need study hall. But the great thing about tutoring is a lot of our student athletes are also tutors. And when we do our student athlete orientation in August, we will recognize who those tutors and peer mentors are so that you can put a face to a name. And when you need help with something, you know who to go to. So there's not like specific um, there's not specific tutors for the student athletes. It's up for everybody, but a lot of our student athletes are um, tutors and peer mentors as well. So I see in the chat this information probably not going to be discussed June 27th. What's on June 27th?
The June 27th one, the focus is meeting a few of our students, doing the what's the word I'm looking for? Excuse me, placement test. And then there'll be a couple of opportunities to meet with some of the faculty, as well as do appointments with financial aid and student accounts, if you need access to that. But right now it's just scheduled from 10 until 2, so a pretty short abbreviated schedule.
I'll add to that. If you are on campus on Friday, I'll be there as well. So if you have follow-up questions, somebody can walk you over to Herman, and you can ask your questions in person, especially if you've got time to process the health paperwork that's on the website. So this is a really great question in the chat about move-in day. Fall athletes, so volleyball, men's and women's soccer, are going to move in on August 13th, and everyone else is moving in on August 14th with all other new students. We wanted to give our soccer and volleyball athletes an extra day to make sure that we are fully ready for preseason. That's going to start at, if you're a volleyball player, possibly midnight. If you're a soccer player, you're starting at 7 or 8 a.m. On Friday morning. So that's a mad dash to move everybody in on the 14th and have practice start the next morning. So men's and women's soccer and volleyball are going to move in on August 13th. And I believe your move in time is between like 9 and 11 a.m. But we'll make sure that you have the correct information about that. If you don't have access to the chat, again, I saw some people are on iPhones. I think feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question. This is a question for you, Don.
I'll just unmute myself. It's been sent to you in Slate, in your kind of series of emails that you're getting. There's the directions on how to do that. It's going to take me a second, but I will pull up that as a PDF document and put it in the chat. But if you look through your Slate communication, you should see it there. We've sent it out because we knew we were doing these sessions, and the folks that are hosting the sessions are available on WPU Connect after the session as well. So give me a second and I will put that in the chat. Thanks for asking.
I think Megan is also going to put a lot of this information on the parent portal, on the family portal, a little more specific about the sickle cell test and the physicals. There are not unique fees for athletes. No, it's included in tuition. And I mean, all the uniforms, gear, meals, I mean, they get so much gear. All of that is included. They do not have to pay anything extra for that. You muted. Hey, Dawn, you're muted.
I knew I would do that at least once. Yeah, I put the link there if you want to click on it, and it'll show you how to make an appointment with anybody, not just Danielle, but any of the campus partners or people that you would need to speak with, student accounts, financial aid, the advising folks as well. So help, if you have any questions about Magnus Help and things along those lines that all students are doing, feel free to do that.
That's a really good point too, Dawn. We get some confusion sometimes about Magnus Health and Swole. And they're separate platforms. They don't talk to each other. So if somebody goes to health services to join our house to get a physical, which is totally possible if the doctor's there, that physical can translate over. But we would prefer people to go to a physician off campus before they come to campus to get um, a physical. Okay, this is a great question about commuter students. There's nothing additional that you need to do as a commuter student athlete. I think, as I mentioned in the beginning, just make sure that your WPU email address is up and running and you're going to get all the information. If you're interested in joining a specific team, I'd say reach out to that coach. And they'll discuss with you what the process is, especially a sport. If you're interested in soccer or volleyball, or I'd even say if you're interested in tennis and golf, we want to make sure that communication is happening fairly early on so that you're fully cleared by the time the season starts. Because if you don't have your compliance paperwork done, if you don't have all your medical paperwork done, you're going to miss that tryout window. And we don't want to miss anybody on campus that's interested in playing a sport. So make sure your communication is starting now so you're included on the roster.
Any other questions? I know we have some folks that are just joining us, and we have recorded this, so you can view that. It'll be posted and sent out in a little bit. So if you missed any of the content, you can go back and check on that real quick. But if you have a question, feel free to write it in there.
Hi, my name is Warren Rayford. I do have a question. I was trying to upload the medical forms, and there's supposed to be like a 24-hour response in order to upload them, but I never got an email back.
Yeah, that's a great question. Good for you for being on top of everything. Our head athletic trainer is brand new. She actually starts on July 1st. So she's going to be running around like crazy. You're going to get the information for that account on July 1st. So if you've requested for that Swole account already, you're not going to get a response right now because truthfully, there's nobody there to respond. So on July 1st, you should get accepted into that Swole account where you can upload your paperwork. And the question in the chat, there's two of them about the coaches' details. Again, all that information is on gopeacepacers.com. Just go right to the staff directory, and you can email or call coaches. I would suggest emailing right now since it's the summertime. And yes, a physical must be after February 20th. It's got to be basically 6 months out from when your start date would be. And so we've, pinpointed February 20th. The closer to your start date, the better though, especially if you're a spring athlete and you got, let's say, a physical after February 20th, but then you got an injury, we might ask for another physical just to make sure that you're actually physically cleared to play. Ooh, Amy's question about physicals required every year. That's actually a great question for Erin. And you can email athletictraining@peace.edu, and she is checking that. I'll put that in the chat. I don't believe they're required every year, but I don't want to misspeak. But that's a great question for Erin.
On the NCAA ID, is everything on that through the NCAA website? Just follow
It's
that.
through ncaa.org. I would wait just a little bit to do that, just because I don't want you paying for an ID if you don't already have one. Again, it sounds like you're a go-getter, Warren. But it's a thing, it's called a profile page rather than a certificate page. So you want to go for the profile page that's free. If you get to a question asking for a payment, please do not submit payment because it's not needed. So
Okay.
ncaa.org and profile page.
So is that July 1st too? I take
No,
it?
that email from me will come for our fall student athletes. That's going to come on August 1st. And for all of our other athletes, it'll come probably the week of August 12th.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Great questions. Anybody else have any? Again, if you just joined us, this is being recorded and we'll have this posted and available for you in a couple of days. If you missed the content earlier. All righty, last call for any questions anybody may have. Feel free to add them in the chat or you can unmute yourself. Oh, here we got one for Donna.
They'll be released probably for our fall athletes. They are released in the middle of July. We kind of let our coaches control that. I mean, they're created, they're just not released to the public yet. So if your student athlete receives a practice schedule, you'll know when the games are probably before the public knows when the games are. But they'll be posted on the website, and then our sports info team does a really great job with graphics. So make sure you're following Go Peace Pacers on Facebook, Instagram, and X. And I'll say our sports info team's doing a really great job with TikTok. So if that's your thing, make sure you're following Go Peace Pacers on all the platforms, and you'll see when the schedules are created. And hopefully at some point you'll see a really great picture of your student on one of the graphics.
All righty, well, thank you all for attending. As I mentioned, this has been recorded, so we'll make that available. And as Danielle said, she and both Claude are available if you do want to make appointments, and the link is here and also in Slate on how you get to make an appointment with WPU Connect, as well as all the other campus resources, the faculty, any staff that you need to talk with. We are so glad that you took a moment to join us. We look forward to watching you on the field and the court, the pool, and all the different places that you'll be competing in this upcoming year, and hope that you'll get engaged in athletics as well as all the other wonderful opportunities we have here at Peace. So we look forward to seeing you in August. But again, feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. Thanks to Danielle for her time tonight. And we look forward to seeing y'all in August. And some of y'all will be here on Friday. So we'll see you on the 27th. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, y'all.